I want to talk about Blake Snell because Blake Snell has been absolutely absurd. So I know the Padres are struggling. I know everyone's freaking out right now, but I do want to have at least one positive part of the show today. So Isaac, Blake Snell had what, like a 6 ERA maybe 2.5 months ago. You know this dude is at a 3.66 right now. You know his ERA is under 1 for the second half of the season. Like the Blake Snell second half, let's turn it up, let's go get it, let's just dominate. It's back again this year. So I did want to bring up Blake Snell a little bit just because this is a guy that we kept saying, hey, just be patient, just be patient. Blake Snell's he's gonna bounce back. He looks terrible right now. It's gonna be all right. Blake Snell, I mean, he's on fire. He is on absolute fire. If you look at his career numbers, he's been sub 3 in the second half of the season, like a 2.8 ERA throughout his career. Usually in the first half, he's over a 4. Right now, I think his first half ERA was over a 5, and right now his second half is under a 1. So it has just been night and day throughout his whole career, but once again for Blake Snell. So are you confident that he's going to be able to ride this out?
Don't trade Blake Snell, crowd. Stand up, man. This is everything that we kind of expected for sure. He's been fantastic the second half. I think he's got like a what you said, like something like around a 1 ERA ever since the All-Star break. And that's exactly what we've been saying all along is be patient, because when the time comes, when it's time to start turning up and down the stretch, we need to really win ball games. Blake Snell is gonna get you, 6. I mean, not even 6, maybe 5, because he throws so many pitches, but 5 2/3 plus quality. I mean, he's going to give you a quality start almost every time. He's been our ace since the All-Star break. When guys have been struggling, like Joe Musgrove, like Sean Manaea, he's been the guy that stepped up and really become the ace of this staff for sure. And that's somebody that, we kept saying, this is the guy that we're going to want come playoff time. We're going to want him on the bump for a game 1 or an elimination game, because this is when he starts turning it up. You can start calling him Big Game Blake. I mean, I know Big Game James didn't work out, but Big Game Blake is kind of a thing now because he's been so good, especially recently for the Padres at a time when, the rotation hasn't been exactly what they were at the beginning of the season. And I feel like a lot of people that didn't want Blake Snell anymore kind of forgot that, like, this guy was still ramping up come April, May, because he didn't really have, of course, with the lockout, he didn't have an off-season program. He's normally one of those guys that takes a little longer than others to ramp up, and with no off season and everything going on with the lockout, it took him even longer than expected. Now come July, he starts molding into form, into the second half Blake Snell that we know. His fastball has a bunch of life to it. I want to say the changeup is still in timeout, but it doesn't really matter because last year and this year around this time, all he was throwing was fastball, slider, and maybe one other pitch. And that's all he's needed. He's been super, super, super amazing for this team. So hopefully we see him ride it. And I mean, career numbers show he's going to ride it out. This is going to continue for the rest of the season. Maybe not, maybe not like a 108 or 1.80 ERA the way it is right now, but he's going to end with around a 2.5 ERA in the second half. And when we did our bounce back players, I was kind of hesitant to say it. I don't know if everyone remembers, but I was like, I don't know if I want to say it, but I went with Blake Snell. So I'm really liking the decision right now because I was kind of scared. But he's bounced back really in a big way.
Yeah, so there's two kind of stats to bring up with Blake Snell. I talked about like the first half kind of side of it. But for this season specifically, first half, pitched 50 innings. He walked 31 batters.
Oh, shit.
Second half, so far he's pitched 28 2/3. You want to guess how many batters he's walked, Isaac?
Isn't it like, I know in his past 4 or 5 starts, he's only walked like 5 guys.
5.
Yeah.
So this is like less than a third of that rate.
That
makes a difference.
Yeah, it makes a ginormous difference. Not only has he walked a bunch, a lot less guys, in 27 innings, he has 39 strikeouts. 39 strikeouts. That is absurd. So, I mean, kind of just doing Blake Snell things right now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it, you brought up the changeup stuff, is that he's getting ahead in the count. And this season, actually, like he's thrown his changeup way less, and it's even fallen off even more. I don't think he even threw one his last outing. But I think it was like on the Rays, he was throwing like 18 to 20% of the time he'd throw a changeup.
Mhm.
Last year on the Padres, it dropped down to like around 10%, especially because that second half he stopped throwing it. This year he's throwing it at 5% of the time. So he's like almost done throwing his changeup, and it's really paying dividends because it feels like so often he just wastes the changeup and just change up in the dirt. And then he falls behind in the count, and it's just like it's tough for him to kind of bounce back. So this is something also like, we talk about the first half, second half thing, but maybe kind of, not throwing the changeup nearly as much
Yeah.
will help him a lot going forward as well, just because, all right, he doesn't have to rely on like trying to fight back and get back ahead in the count because it has not worked when he's had to do that. So I think that's a huge thing. But Blake Snell, very, very exciting player. When he's pitching well, he's awesome to watch. When he's not pitching well, he is
Oh,
really rough to watch, and it takes forever, and it feels like the game's gonna last like 6 hours, and he pauses like 30 times, and it's so frustrating. But I mean, last year when he was really dialed in, like it was awesome to watch, and we're starting to see that again. So it's been super fun to see Blake Snell turn around. One of the few bright spots right now for the San Diego Padres.